Hello everyone, good day. So I am doing a recorded lecture for our topics for NCM 111 this midterm. Okay, so just a recap, we did discuss before the quali, quanti, the mixed method. We also did discuss the ethical considerations or ethics in research. And of course, pinag-usapan din natin yung types of researches based on philosophy, yung time, no, yung cross-section, yung cross, what you call this, yung cross-sectional. We also had the longitudinal at saka yung sequential, no? So, lalabas po yun sila sa ating midterm. Kindly review it back. Okay? Now, with regards to our additional topics, we have here is your related review of literature. Nandito din po ang ating theoretical and conceptual framework. So, we're gonna proceed now to our topic. So, first we have is the review of related literature. So this is actually the review of related literature is a written summary of the existing knowledge based on research problem obtained from an in-depth search on non-research references and research references. So the review includes a statement indicating that the present study will add to what is already known. It is a written analytic summary of research finding on a topic of interest and a comprehensive compilation of what is known about the phenomena or event. It also provides the background and the context on which the research is being conducted. So, the literature review actually helps or guides a researcher in searching for or selecting a better research or topic. This helps the investigator understand his topic for better research, ensures that the investigator understood his topic, ensures that there is no duplication of other studies, and helps and guides a researcher in locating more resources of related information. It also helps and guides a researcher in making his research design and helps and guides the researcher in comparing the findings with other research findings. So overall mga langga, an review of related literature is a survey or a scholarly source from a specific topic. It actually provides you an overview of current knowledge, point out gaps and existing research, and appears as part of a dissertation or a paper on its own. So, the purposes kasi ng literature review is number one, to demonstrate familiarity with the topic and scholarly content. Kaya po, better ang understanding mo sa iyong topic na hinahanap. Also, this aids in developing a theoretical framework and methodology, and this gives you a position that approach na related siya, no? Related siya sa inyong study, and at the same time, nakikita nyo kung ano ba ang fit para sa study ninyo. And this also evaluates the current state of research and demonstrate your knowledge on the scholarly databases. Okay, now, sinabi ko, evaluate the current state of research. Titignan mo kung problema ba talaga to or sa'yo lang to problema. Kasi if there are already solutions online, this is not researchable anymore. Okay? So, next we have is a type of literature. First we have is conceptual literature or related literature. It is composed or discussion of facts and principles to which the present study is related. These materials are usually printed and found in books, encyclopedias, professional journals, magazines, newspapers, and other publications, and is referred to as non-empirical references and classified as local and foreign. So, a conceptual review actually focuses on theoretical framework, models, concepts that are related to the topic that you're searching for. Pero hindi siya empirical research findings, okay? It is more about understanding the ideas and principles behind the subject and how does it fit together. So, ang main purpose nga nito is to explore and ma-clarify ang concepts or theories and models that is you are looking for. And oftenly, you are not focusing on research results or empirical studies researches. Kasi, ang ginagawa natin dito is nagre-review tayo ng mga concepts and their relationships. And dito din, nagde-develop tayo ng conceptual framework and how is this different from the other studies. Okay? Next we have here is your research literature. So, sa research literature naman, they are empirical studies and research findings that are related to a specific research question. So, this review actually examines data-driven studies or experiments and surveys that is conducted by researchers. Kaya nga po, they are investigations that are already conducted to which present proposed study is related to or has some bearing or similarity. So, they are usually unpublished materials, pwedeng manuscript, pwedeng thesis and dissertation, and this is also known as your empirical references. Okay. So, next we have types of sources. We have two, primary and secondary. So, primary is a description of studies written by the researchers who conducted them. It is ideal to rely on primary source of data and the researchers' oral discussion on the study in terms of forums, seminars, conferences, and even competitions may also be considered primary resources. And si secondary sources naman is other than the author, yun yung source mo. Kasi kung main author galing, primary. Kung sa ibang tao na, secondary sources. So, secondary sources are actually a good way na mag-start ng literature review kasi they provide a quick summary and a good bibliography. Okay? So, now let's go now to the major steps in doing literature review. So, as simple as mag-start ka, no? You are going to search for relevant literature, then evaluate the sources, then identify themes, database and gaps, then outline the structure, then you write your literature review. Meron siyang steps. Okay? So, we're gonna go through with it. First, you're going to locate relevant literatures. So, saan ba natin hanapin? First, we have your bibliographic databases. So, these bibliographic databases, these are like your Google Scholar, your Scopus, your JSTOR, your PubMed, okay? So, they are actually sites wherein you can find peer-reviewed articles, books, and other academic resources. So, itong mga databases na to, it can provide you access to a wide variety or a vast collection of literature from different fields. Then we have is your ancestry approach. So, etong approach naman, this method involves na magre-review kayo ng references or citations from an article or books wherein you, the researcher, you're going to trace backward through citations and maghanap ka ng works na pwede mag-influence sa iyong research. And this actually leads to foundational or seminal studies. Next is the ascendancy approach. It is in contrast to the ancestry approach wherein kung kanina kumukuha ka ng review ng references galing sa book na binasa mo, dito naman kukunin mo yung descendancy after that book. Ano ang sumunod? Anong nag-cite sa kanyang books? Okay? So, the descendancy approach kasi, this involves looking at how a particular article or book has been cited in later publications. So, therefore, this will actually help the researcher discover newer studies that have built upon the original works. Then, we have lastly the gray literature. So, ito naman, these are materials and research produced outside of traditional publishing and academic sources. So, example is your government reports, policy papers, mga thesis, conferences, mga technical reports. So, ito kasi mga gray literature, valuable siya kasi nagbibigay siya ng mga up-to-date information that is not available in formal journals. So, we can also adopt a formal system to record key of pieces of information from each study kasi if you're doing a review of related literature, ang dami mong babasahing articles. Okay? Ang dami mong babasahing manuscripts. So, we have different here. We have 3. First is the coding. coding, intricate coding systems to support a computer analysis. So, coding involves assigning specific labels or codes to pieces of information in research articles, such as yung themes, yung variables, or key findings. This actually helps in categorizing and tracking data across multiple sources that makes it easier to compare and analyze. So, yung coding system kasi, it can support by a computer analysis wherein nag-enable sa ating mga researcher to automate and streamline data retrieval and analysis. So, next we have is your protocols. Protocols are means of recording various aspects of a study systematically, including the full citation, theoretical foundations, methodologic features, findings, and conclusions. So, ni-categorize po natin siya base sa hinahanap natin. So, it's a standardized system for recording the various aspects of a study wherein nag-ensure siya na meron tayong consistency and completeness in data collection. So, paano ba to? Kung full citation tayo, when we say full citation, these are the details about the study source, the author, the title, and publication date. Si theoretical foundations naman, these are more on the theories or models na pinag-usapan doon sa study. Si methodologic features naman, ito ay mga information about the study design, the sample, the sampling method, the methodology, yung data collection techniques. Pasok yan dyan. Then lastly, findings and conclusions. So, ito yung summary ng study results and mga conclusions drawn out by the authors. So, when you use protocols, this actually helps you to maintain a systematic approach to review studies, and this ensures all necessary information is recorded for later analysis. Okay? So, lastly, we have is your matrices. So, matrices are means of organizing information from research articles because matrices are directly support a thematic analysis of information. Wherein mga langga, ito mga matrices kasi, they are table or grids that is used to organize information systematically. They actually provide you a visual way to compare and contrast elements from multiple studies from different sources wherein ina-align niya yung data across studies, and etong matrices, it makes it easier na ma-join mo or i-emerge yung themes or gaps in the literature. So, actually, there are three types of matrices. We have the methodologic, result, at saka si evaluation matrix. So, ayan, nandito. So, when we say methodologic matrices, this actually organizes information to answer the question, how have researchers studied this research question? So, ibig sabihin, magfo-focus ka sa research design, sa methods and approaches that is used by different studies. So, ibig sabihin, kukunin mo ano ba yung type of study niya, ano yung sample niya, ilan yung sample size niya, how was the data collected? Survey ba? Interview ba? Or experiments ba? Ano yung analysis method niya? Statistical ba? Or thematic analysis ba? Okay? So, yun. Next we have is yung result matrix. So, this result matrix, this organized information to address the question, what have the researchers found? So, ang focus po dito, hanapin mo ang findings. Etong matrix na ito, si result matrix, isa-summarize niya yung findings of different studies para makakuha ka ng clear view of what each study concluded. Hina-highlight yung results, trends, and patterns in the data. Okay? So, sa result matrix, focus mo dito yung study findings, yung significance, and of course, the key variables. Okay? Then, lastly, we have the evaluation matrix. So, this is designed to answer how much confidence do we have in the evidence. Wherein, ang focus nito is the quality of the studies. Iko-consider mo yung factors such as the study design, the sample size, the methodology, at saka ang bias. So, this actually helps you to assess the reliability and validity of the findings across studies. So, ang tinitingnan natin dito, yung reproducibility. Kung ma-replicate mo ba siya in other settings, ang risk for bias, meron bang mga flaws in the study, at saka lastly, yung quality of evidence. Wherein titignan mo, i-rate mo siya kung high, medium, or low ba ang iyong evidences that you are reading now. So next, critiquing and evaluating the evidences. The evaluation process consists of review of the components of the study, which are these: purpose of the study, sample size and selection, design of the study, data collection procedures, analysis of data, and your conclusion. So the extensiveness of the literature review depends on number of factors such as the nature of the document to be prepared, the topic or the subject, and the relevance and the quality of literature with respect to the demands of the new study. So, how do we prepare our written literature review? So, it should be a well-organized synthesis of the current state of evidences on a topic, neither a series of quotes nor a series of abstracts. Also, summarize on your own words. Hindi tayo gumagamit ng plagiarism checkers or hindi tayo gumagamit ng paraphrasing tools. And recap key findings and indicate how credible they are. So, next, we have here is to undertaking field work. Researchers embarking on a clinical study often benefit from spending time in appropriate clinical settings, discussing the topic with clinicians or healthcare administrators or staff itself, and observing current practices. So, such clinical field work can provide perspective on research of recent clinical trends, current diagnostic procedures, and relevant healthcare delivery models. It can also help researchers to understand better the client perspectives and the settings in which the care is being provided. Now, mga langga, when you do your review of related literature, we actually identify research gap. Okay? So, ano po ba itong si research gap? Okay, so si research gaps, these are actually the area in the field of study where there are insufficiencies or di kaya wala pang research na nagagawa. Okay? Kaya tayo gumagamit ng review of related literature because we are looking for a gap. Okay. So, magsusulat muna ako tapos babalik tayo dito. So, here comes, when we do our review of related literature, first is we actually define the research problem. Ayan. So, example, effects of social media on body image among Gen Z. So, based on that title that we did, no? Ano yung sinabi ko? Effects of social media on body image among Gen Z. Yan. So, we are now going to identify keywords. When we say social media, ano pumapasok dyan? The FB, Instagram, the X, Threads, TikTok, no? And others. When we say body image, anong pumapasok sa body image? These are your self-perception, self-esteem, okay? And when we say Gen Z, they are your teenagers or youth. Ma'am, bakit po kailangan natin maghanap ng keywords? Kasi, there are different words or keywords sa online. Okay? And then, we are now going to search. Saan tayo mag-search? Ikaw bahala. Pwede tayong gumamit ng Google Scholar, or sa PubMed, or other sources. As long as reliable ang sources. So, when you search online, no, you make use of Boolean operators. Ano po itong Boolean operators? These are your and, or, at saka ang not. So, tapos after yan ay lalabas yan mga articles. You are going to read abstracts. You're going to check bibliographies, for more resources and mag-take note ka ng mga recurring citations. Okay? Step 2, you're going now to evaluate and select sources. So, when you evaluate, tatanungin mo, is the question addressed? Ano ba? No? Ano ba yung key concept? Ano ba yung theories? Ano yung methods niya? Paano yung results? Ano yung conclusions? No? How is it relate to other studies? What are the key insights or arguments? Ano yung strength and weaknesses ng research na iyon? So, dito, as you read through, you need to take note. Okay? You need to take note ng mga quotes. Pasok din dyan yung summaries or yung mga key findings, yung sources of information. When we say sources of information, ito na yung author's name. Dito din yung title or journal name. Okay? Dito din yung year ng publication at saka of course yung page numbers kung ito ay book. Then, as you read kasi, you should also begin writing processes. Okay? You're going to take note that you can later incorporate, no? You can later incorporate into the list of literature review. Okay, so it is important to keep track of sources para hindi tayo magkaroon ng plagiarisms and you can make use of annotated bibliography. So, ito si annotated bibliography, you can compile yung full citation info and even write a paragraph of summary and analysis for each sources. So, yan si step 2. Next we have is the step 3. We're going now to identify themes. Also, debates or mga gaps. Hanapin natin si research gaps. So, ano ba yung hahanapin natin? Of course, yung trend sa literature, yung key themes, yung mga disagreements nila or debates, yung mga pivotal publications, at saka of course yung gap. So, when we see research gap, sinabi ko kanina, this refers to an area in the field of study where insufficiencies or there are no researches conducted on that field. So, this can actually arise due to lack of studies on a specific topic or meron siyang mga contradictions sa existing research. Kasi kung may contradictions, ibig sabihin kailangan mong i-clarify yan. Then there are also mga methodological gaps. So this happens when the existing research has made use of outdated or limited methodologies. And si contextual gap naman, ito yung gumamit sila ng specific location lang na kulang. This happens when studies conducted in different geographical or cultural or mga historical context na hindi pa siya na-explore. Okay, so kulang pa yung study, kaya contextual gap siya. Meron din tayong tinatawag na technological gap or your practical gap. So, these are yung mga, because of technological advances, new tools or new methods actually make the older studies obsolete. So, gamitin nyo yung present. Then, next we have is yung emerging trend or issues. So, sila naman, nagiging gap sila kasi wala pang information about that topic. So, they are your newly discovered phenomena wherein this creates a gap kasi wala pa ngang studies about it. Okay? So, when you do the step 3, di ba, you identify themes, debates, and gaps, we actually conduct a thorough literature review. So, how do we do a thorough literature review? You are going to start from broad to specific. Ibig sabihin, magsimula ka worldwide, tapos Pilipinas, tapos sa lokal ninyo. Then, we examine the recent searches. When we say research, 5 years down lang. Okay? And look for contradictions. Then, you also take note of commonly identified limitations. Or yun yung parang sa recommendations ng mga researchers. Next, after conducting a thorough literature review, mag-identify tayo ng underrepresented or unexplored areas. So, paano ba natin makita yan? We're going to focus on the emerging trends. We are going to look for specific demographics or contexts na hindi pa na-explore. And of course, we're going to look at specific existing methodologies. I-analyze natin yan. No? Bakit? Kasi pwede siya maging methodological limitations or ano ba yung ginamit previously na tools or technological. Baka updated sila. Also, we are going to examine gaps in the data or the theory. Titignan mo, may missing bang variables or data or meron bang unexplored theories. No? So, also, you need to ask critical question. What has overlooked? Ano ba yung mga kailangan pa ng clarification? What does experts say? Or ano ba yung recommendations nila from their study? Okay? So, of course, you can make use of citation networks para makita kung meron pang mga before or after mga citations, no? That's your ascendancy at saka descendancy approach. And of course, you can examine interdisciplinary areas. You can make use of other articles kahit hindi sila nursing. You can make use of it. And of course, review government or industrial reports because they are your gray literature. They are going to give you an up-to-date information. Sige. So, lastly, pagtapos ka na gumawa ng iyong review of related literature, we are now going to define the framework and develop conceptual definitions. So, when quantitative research is performed within the context of a conceptual framework, the findings may have broader significance and utility, even when research question is not embedded in a theory. Researchers must have a conceptual rationale and a clear vision of a concepts under study. So, etong si framework kasi, this will give you a visual presentation para mas maintindihan mo siya. Okay, so, di ko alam bakit, pero ang dami atang naghahanap sa akin. In demand ang lola nyo na naman. Pero, hindi ko muna sila i-cater. Kaya baka ay, malos na naman ang brain cells ko. So, we're going now to proceed to our theoretical and conceptual framework. But before that, mga langga, let's go back muna to our variables. Kasi, when we do our theoretic framework, meron tayong meron tayong tinatawag na conceptual paradigm. Okay, so, let's go back muna to our variables. So, ayan, variables. So, when we say variables, these are elements or factors that are studied and measured to determine their effects or relationship. So, a variable are actually different values. And these values are what researchers seek to measure, manipulate, or control in their studies. So, there are different types. We have is your independent variable at saka si dependent variable. So, independent variable are manipulated. No? Also, they are controlled. Ayan. Bakit? They are manipulated or categorized kasi po gusto nilang ma-observe yung effects on other variables. Kasi itong si Ivy, siya po yung cause in a cause-effect relationship. Okay? So, yan. Then, si dependent variable naman, ito yung tinatawag nating outcome or the effect. Okay? So, this is measured in response to the changes in independent variable. Siya yung dumidepende sa independent variable. Okay, so to make it clearer, example, we are going to do a study on the impact of exercise on weight loss. So, yung independent variable natin is of course the exercise. Si dependent variable, of course, si weight loss. Okay? So, next, meron din tayong tinatawag na control at saka si extraneous. So, when we say control variables, ito yung mga variables na kept constant or controlled. Para po hindi sila mag-influence ng outcome. Yan. So, usually, these researchers actually controls the variable, itong si control variable, kasi to ensure that any observed effect on the dependent variable is actually related to IV. Okay? So, example, ang study natin kanina, the exercise and weight loss. So, pwede natin masabi na yung control variables, ano yung study na sinabi ko kanina, study impact of weight loss. Impact of exercise. Sabi ko parang may mali. Of exercise. Yan. So, di ba sinabi natin si exercise ang IV, si DV si weight loss. Now, paano naman si control variables? So, sino ba ang participants natin? Iko-control natin yan. Example is the diet, the age, the baseline health status. They are actually controlled para ma-ensure na yung weight loss is really because of exercise. Hindi siya due to other factors. Okay? While si extraneous variables naman, they are any variables other than, okay? Any variables other than your independent variable that might affect. Ayan. That might affect the dependent variable. So, although hindi siya yung primary interest in the study, pero pwede siya mag-influence ng results. So, best example po is yung sleep metabolism. Diba? Kasi kung poor ang metabolism, kahit anong exercise mo, mataba pa rin. Okay? Kasi this sleep at saka si metabolism, although they are not focused sa study, pero they need to be considered kasi this can affect the dependent variable, which is it can affect the weight loss. Okay. So, also, we have the terms na moderator at saka si mediator. Ayan. So, when we say moderator, it is a variable that affects the strength or direction of the relationship. So, pinapakita niya yung direction between the independent and dependent variable. So, usually, itong si moderator, hindi naman siya directly nagkukos ng effect, pero pwede siya mag-influence ng relationship. So, example, in exercise and weight loss, yung best masabi nating moderator is the person's age. Bakit? Kasi younger participants their exercise might result in more significant weight loss compared sa older participants na hindi pa masyado magkikita yung effect. Okay, so that's si moderator variable. Si mediator naman, ito yung mag-e-explain ng mechanism or process through which the independent variable affects the dependent variable. So, pinapakita niya po how or why certain effect occurs. So, in such, no, sa ating study, yung exercise, so masabi natin na yung mediator variable, masabi natin is your metabolism. Why? Kasi, exercise might increase metabolism which leads to weight loss. Diba? Ganon. So, also we have is your intervening variables. So, sa intervening variables naman, they are not initially included in the research but later it is found to be significant in influencing the relationship between your IV and DV. So, they often intervene or complicate the observed relationships. So, example po is the social media. Social media, social support. So, di ba tayo, whether you like it or not, palapos tayo eh. Nag-exercise tayo, tapos nagkakaroon ng weight loss. Pinost natin. Tapos may nagko-comment sa'yo, uy, ang ganda, uy, ang sexy. 'Di ba? If you receive positive feedback from social media, kahit pa paano kasi ayokong aminin, pero nagbibigay siya ng validation. 'Di ba? This actually gives you more positive outlook na sige, mag-exercise ako kasi lalo daw ako gumaganda. Nagiging sexy daw ako. So, that's your intervening variable. Next, we have is your compounding variable. Ayan. So, si compounding variable, ito mga variable na to are related to both the independent and dependent variable. It can actually create a false impression of a relationship between those two variables. So, si compounder kasi, it might make it appear na si independent variable ang nagkakos sa dependent variable, pero si compounding pala ang nagbibigay ng effect. So, example is your smoking. So, smoking, related kasi siya sa both exercise habits and sa weight loss. Kasi, when you smoke, di ba? Itong si smoke kasi, it actually skews. Ano ba yung skew? S-K-E-W. Pinapakita niya yung relationship between exercise. So, ma'am, bakit? Kasi, ang taong nag-exercise, ang sabi kasi, may nabasa ko, ang taong nag-exercise, mahal nila ang sarili nila. Hindi sila nagsusmoke. So, if they love to smoke, kasi, ang nangyayari, this gives you risk for heart conditions, lung conditions, diba? Cancer. Wherein, it's bad for the health. So, ang nangyayari, it can affect. So, pwede siya mag-matter as confounding. Wherein, akala natin, nag-weight loss siya because of exercise. Yun pala, may underlying condition na pala siya because of its chronic smoking. May cancer na pala siya. Hindi nyo lang pala na-identify. So, ayan, that's a compounding variable. Okay. So, bakit ko pinag-usapan yan? Kasi, gagamitin natin yan dito sa ating theoretical and conceptual framework. So, when we say theoretical, of course, nandyan ang ating salitang theory. Okay? So, when you say theory, this is a set of interrelated constructs, definitions, and prepositions that present a systematic view of phenomena by specifying relations among variables with the purpose of explaining and predicting the phenomena. Then we have the concept. these are your abstractions that categorize observations based on commonalities and differences. So they are actually the building blocks of theories and vary in abstractions. Then si framework naman, ito yung underpinnings of the study. So this is based from the theory, and that framework is related to theoretical framework and conceptual framework. So ano bang characteristics ng theory? So it is composed of set of concepts. And they are not discovered, but ginawa siya, inimbento. And it is not proven true, kaya pwede mo siyang i-challenge by doing grounded theories or i-revise. And of course, this consists of propositions that indicates a relationship between the concepts. So, purposes of theory, it summarizes and logically organizes knowledge and identify relationships. Also, this stimulates concerted efforts to discover new knowledge, further adding to the existing knowledge base, and of course, interpret observed phenomena and explain factors to their occurrences and control, predict, and forecast outcomes. Now, ma'am, bakit ko in-emphasize si theoretical framework? To make it a nursing research, you need to make use of a nursing theory. Ayan. Okay? So, next we have here is your conceptual framework. Ano bang difference nila? Theoretical muna tayo. Theoretical framework, it is a broad, general explanation of the relationships between concepts and interests in research studies. It is derived from one or more theories or paradigms through the process of induction and deduction. It actually postulates relationships among concepts and permits empirical testing, and it provides rationale for the hypotheses, policies, and curricula. Then, si conceptual framework naman, it is a specific, well-defined concept and constructs that describe the ideas about individuals, groups, situations, and events of a particular interest or a discipline. This actually represents less formal attempt of organizing a phenomena and serves as springboard in formulation of research hypotheses. This also becomes a central theme, the focus, and the main thrust of the study. So, kumbaga, sa theoretical framework, nagbibigay siya ng underlying theory that supports the study, and it is based on existing theory and models in nursing. And this helps you, the researchers, to ground your study in established knowledge. So, the theoretical framework, this will help you to explain the relationship between variables and guide the study hypothesis and research questions. Ayan. So, si conceptual framework naman, nag-outline siya ng key concept and the relationship between them. So, it doesn't necessarily na nag-adhere siya sa existing theory alone, but this includes the variables, the constructs, the concepts na they're not directly linked to specific theory, pero importante siya sa research na ginagawa mo. So, they're often depicted in a diagram or model na usually nagre-represent ng relationship between your variables. Okay? So, yun. So, next we have is your conceptual paradigm. So, conceptual paradigm, this refers to a model of framework that represents key concepts, variables, or elements of the study and how they are interrelated. So, it actually serves as a visual representation or theoretical construct to guide your research, showing how the researcher interprets the relationship among different concepts in a given context. So, itong si conceptual paradigm, typically this is used to clarify the research problem and propose possible outcomes or connections between the variables. Okay, so as it is stated there, It provides a structure or pattern of organizing phenomena of interest in the practice of research. It is a paradigm wherein a dramatic representation and depicts a more vivid way what conceptual framework wants to convey, and there's a visual grammatical picture of the study variables and their relationships. So, kung baga, itong si conceptual, no? Conceptual paradigm, this provides direction for the study by clarifying the variables that will be measured and how they are expected to interact. Ayun. So, there are actually different ways. So, first we have is your IPO. IPO, Input Process Output Model. So, itong model na to, this is largely used when the research attempts to isolate a factor or major variable that causes the problem, subject, or phenomena under investigation. So, we have here a sample. So, self-nurses' roles toward improved work performances. So, in nursing research, itong input natin, yung patient demographics, yung roles, no? Pasok yan dyan. Yung ano-ano ba yung pwede nating i-input when it comes to healthcare. Pwede na dyan. Anything that can cause. So, actually, si input, ito yung mga like, simplehan natin, pwede natin masabi as yung ano ba yung characteristics ng pinag-aaralan mo. No, yung demographics, yung interventions or treatments na gagawin mo, yung environmental factors, available ba ang mga gamit or hospital settings, no? Ayan. Yan. Then, here, eto dito, sa gitna, analysis of data through the questionnaire format. Yan naman po ang process. So, kung si input, eto yung mga factors or variables that influence patient and their outcomes, si process naman refers to actions or procedures that apply to inputs. Wherein, pwede dito yung mga nursing interventions, mga decision making, care strategies, no? Na pwede mag-influence ng ating output. So, itong sa baba, this is your output. So, ito yung result or outcome ng processes or intervention na ginawa ng ating input. So, ayan. Next we have is your IV-DV variable. So, si IV-DV variable naman, this is used in experiment-based studies. The questions raised are higher order and may be factor relating or situation producing. So, commonly kasi, particularly in nursing research, in-examine natin yung relationship between variables, diba? So, itong IV-DV model na ito, this helps to explore how one or more independent variable influence the dependent variable in a controlled setting. So, this is particularly useful po for hypothesis testing, especially kung ang ginagamit ninyo ay cause and effect analysis. Kasi, mas magkakaroon kayo ng better understanding. So, here, we have now a sample. The effects of computer-assisted instruction and demonstration method to the level of performance of nursing students. So, the computer-assisted instruction at saka demonstration method, ito yung ating IV. Si DV, yung level of performance ng student. So, kumbaga mga langga, si IV, ito yung factor that is manipulated or varied by the researcher. It is considered the cause or the input in the study. While si dependent variable naman, this is the outcome that is measured in the study. It actually represents the effect or the result that is hypothesized to change due to manipulation doon sa independent variable. Okay? Next we have is your POM. POM or your Proposed Original Model. So it is a research framework that is used when the researcher is presenting a original paradigm or conceptual model that aims to explain or solve a specific problem in a new or novel way. So, this model kasi, it is particularly useful when existing theories or models are insufficient or do not adequately address the research problem. Okay? So, etong si POM, this involves presenting a fresh scientific approach to understanding a particular phenomena, which is often nag-integrate siya ng concepts from multiple disciplines or proposing innovative hypotheses. So, this is mainly based on rigorous scientific principles and aims na ma-advance yung knowledge within a particular field. So commonly, may characteristics po si POM. We have the scientific basis. So, of course, grounded yan siya sa scientific reasoning and evidences. Also, bago siya, innovative, kaya original, and klaro ang structure and components. Kailangan clearly defined and explained, no, the variables, the relationship, the processes, and ma-understand yung phenomena under investigation. So, yun. So, ano ba ang itsura ng POM? It's actually just like this. So, example is the Enhanced Related Learning Experience Supervisory Program. So, pinapakita niya how the IV, tapos how the different interventions, and ano yung magiging output niya. Okay? So, this is a novel or sarili niyang concepts na ini-explain niya. And commonly, ito pong ginagamit natin sa ating researches. But, you can make use of others as well. Although common natin to siya nakikita. Okay? Then, next we have here is your CP, Criterion Predictor Model. So, this is used when relating and assessing the effects of two or more variables. So, mainly kasi, this is done to assess and explore the relationship between two or more variables. Ito ay particularly helpful if you are studying associations, effects, or differences. So, it is defined as how one variable or predictor can be used to predict or explain changes in another variable or your criterion. So, the model is widely applied in experimental and non-experimental studies wherein ginagamit to mainly understand cause and effect relationships. Kaya nga, correlations and dependency between variables, CP model ang gamitin ninyo. Okay? So, wherein, ito si CP, relationship of teaching competencies of clinical structures to the level of performance of nursing students. So, ito si criterion variable. This is your predictor variable. So, si predictor variable, ito yung independent variable. So, the predictor variable is the factor that is believed to influence or predict the outcome. So, this is typically the independent variable in the study. Thus, they are manipulated or observed in relation to the criterion, which is the level of performance of nursing students. Okay? So, ayan. Bakit? Kasi si dependent variable, this is your criterion variable. Kumbaga, yung outcome. Ayan. Okay. So, lastly, meron tayong si P model. So, P model stands for additional box. Highlight yun si additional box. So, this is ideal for studies that propose a program or intervention measure. This model fits the situation-producing level of questioning. So, ito kasi siya, aim mo dito is mag-introduce ka ng new program or intervention to address a particular issue or problem. So, it is structured para ma-examine yung effects or outcome that is produced by implementing such intervention. Kumbaga, para lang siyang IPO, di ba? Wherein, si P-model kasi, ang central feature niya is the introduction of intervention or program. Saan ba siya pumapasok? Itong nasa gitna. Okay? Wherein the analysis of data through the questionnaire, informal interview, and statistical instrument. Ito yung kanilang intervention na ginawa. So, these are actually a situation-producing research question na designed para ma-explore what happens when a certain intervention or program is introduced. Okay? So, ayan. Okay. So, we're done with our chapter 2. Parang hindi ako satisfied sa ating P model. Ganito. Paano ba si P model? Example, ano bang gagawin ko? Example is improving hand hygiene compliance of nursing staff. To reduce hospital-acquired infections. So, of course, ang input natin is of course the introduction ng new hand hygiene program. Okay? Hand hygiene program. Kanino? Sa ating nursing staff para ma-reduce yung hospital-acquired intervention. So of course, nandito yung ating workshop, nandito yung demonstrations, nandito yung regular assessment of hand hygiene practices. Ayan. Tapos, ipoproseso natin yan siya. So, ibig sabihin dito ay mag-training sila. Training ng new staff for siguro over 6-week period. And regularly, they have hand hygiene practices and feedback is provided. Okay? Tapos, ang kanyang output. So, outcome is i-measure natin by tracking the HAIs or your hospital-acquired infection rates before and after the program. So, yun. So, of course, kung bumaba ang HAIs, ano yung hospital-acquired infections or complications, ay ibig sabihin nagko-comply sila sa hand hygiene protocols. Kung mataas pa rin, ibig sabihin ay kailangan mong balikan anong problema doon sa intervention or baka ay hindi nag-comply ang mga nurses. So, ito kasi siya, CP model, mainly this addresses situation-producing questions. Ayan, yan. Okay. So, going back, we are now going next to discuss the chapter 3, the methodology. So, kaya nga po pasok sa ating midterm exam, si research design. Ma'am, bakit? Si research design, this can be your quali, quanti, or mixed method. Participants, sino yung mga tao na mag-a-answer ng research mo. Si sampling technique, paano man nakuha ang mga participants mo. Si research local, saan ginawa ang research mo. Data gathering procedure, is it interview ba, survey, research instrument, validity and reliability, ethical considerations, and statistical treatment of data. Now, because of medyo kulang ang ating time, ang ipapasok ko sa ating midterm exam is of course the research design, of course, the participants, sampling technique, at saka ang ethical considerations. Kasi para sa ating pre-final, mainly doon na papasok si mga math. Paano natin nakuha si participants, yung by calculation, at saka si statistical treatment of data. Ayan. So, that's it. So, research design is a very important aspect of research methodology wherein this describes the research mode, whether quali or quanti or mixed method. So, if the researcher will use a specific type, example, descriptive survey, historical, case study, or experimental. Ayan. So, this is why, no, binag-usapan natin sa prelim si types of researches. This is why you need to read it back. So, kumbaga, ito yung blueprint mo na nag-guide sa'yo how your research study will be conducted. It actually includes that all decisions about methods and procedures will be followed to answer the research questions. It is a well-thought-out research design wherein crucial siya para maka-obtain ng valid, reliable, and reproducible results. Okay. So, di ba meron tayong descriptive? This is mainly to describe the characteristics of a phenomena or relationship between variables. No? So, pwede kayong gumamit dyan ng observational, service, or case studies. Depende. Sa exploratory naman, main purpose nito is to explore the area which is little known or para maka-generate ng insights and ideas for further research. So, commonly sa exploratory kasi, this is commonly sa qualitative. Sa experimental, syempre, nasa quantitative yan. So, experimental design is commonly to determine the cause and effect relationship wherein pwede tayo mag-manipulate ng variables and i-observe yung kanyang effect, which is the dependent. No? So, also, meron din tayong correlational design wherein titignan natin, we are going to identify the strength and direction ng relationship between two or more variables without manipulation. Si longitudinal naman, di ba yung by time, we have the longitudinal at saka si cross-sectional. So, si longitudinal, the study variables are being studied over extended period of time to observe changes and developments, di ba? Si cross-sectional naman is mag-examine tayo ng data in a certain point in time or in a short period lang siya, then magdo-draw up na tayo ng conclusions. Si case study naman po, they are explored in a particular phenomena in detail wherein this is a detailed, in-depth study of a specific case. No? Pwede individual, group, or organization, or an event. Kasi, this will provide a rich and detailed data. So, alam nyo naman po, si Quali. Si Quali, di ba, nag-explore ng phenomena in-depth. Nagfo-focus ng understanding experiences, perception, and meanings. Si quantitative naman, this is to quantify the problem by generating numerical data na ma-analyze natin statistically. Okay? So, next we have is your research local. So, this discusses the place or setting of the study. It briefly describes the place where the study is to be considered. So, kumbaga, ito yung specific location or environment where the study is conducted. It actually plays a crucial role in shaping the research process as it determines the context in which data will be collected. So, the population being studied and the conditions under the research will unfold here. So, of course, andito ang ating physical location. So, nandyan ang geographic area. School ba? Hospital ba? Community ba? Or company ba? Or laboratory for experimental research. Okay. So, example, the study was conducted in Brent Hospital and Colleges Incorporated, specifically the College of Respiratory Therapy. So, ayun. So, sinasabi po saan ginawa ang iyong research, which is the population, and sino ang iyong sample, no? So, anong college specific? Ito yung sinasabi natin, specific group of people or a particular community. Ayan. Then, of course, dito din, sinasabi natin yung physical environment. Wherein, this is crucial kasi na, especially sa experimental research or field studies, ini-include natin yung setup sa environment, whether it sa weather conditions, infrastructure quality, Ayan. Okay? So, next we have is the respondents of the study. So, this element of research methodology aims to discuss how the respondents of the study are selected and how to choose an appropriate sampling method, and introduces the respondents to the reader by citing the basic profiles of some of them. The respondents are individuals or a group of people that serve as sources of information during data collection. So, the population is a complete set of persons or objects that possesses some common characteristics that are of interest to the researcher. And there are two groups of population, the target population and the accessible population. So, the target population is composed of the entire group of people or objects to which a researcher wishes to generalize the findings of the study. So, ganito lang yan. Meron tayong inclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria are the specific characteristics that respondents must possess to be included in the study. This ensures that the respondents align with the research goals and provide relevant data. Then, si exclusion criteria naman are the characteristics that disqualify individuals from being included in the study. These criteria help to narrow the focus of the research and prevents skewed data. So, ma'am, ano bang mga pinagsasabi mo? Dito muna tayo sa notes ulit. So, di ba ang sabi doon? Para makuha yung respondents of the study, meron tayong tinatawag na target population. Actually, ganito yan. Liit-liitin natin from malaki. Ayan. So, example. Ang study natin ay gagawin sa Brent Hospital and Colleges Incorporated sa College of Nursing. So, lahat ng student na ito, okay, these are your BHCI students. These are your universal population. Okay? Universal yan siya. Bakit? Kasi lahat nandyan ay kasama. Itong ating BSN students from level 1 to 4. Tapos, ito ang ating target population. So, pili tayo. Ano ba yung study na gusto natin? Example is the level 4. Ayan. So, there. Now, si level 4, they are what you call as the target population, wherein this refers to the entire group from which the sample of respondents is drawn, and it is aligned with the research objectives and the study focus. Okay? Now, kung buong level 4 ang kukunin mo mga langga, ang dami mong gagastusin, ang dami mong information. Kukuha ka pa ngayon ng smaller size. Okay? So, what does I mean by this? Smaller size. Ito yung magiging sample size mo. Ayan. So, the sample size is actually the number of respondents selected from the target population. So, it needs to be large enough to ensure that the study has sufficient statistical power that can produce reliable and valid results. So, may mga factors tayong i-consider, yung research design, quantity ba siya or quali, nature of the study, is it exploratory ba, descriptive or experimental, yung resources, your time and your budget. And of course, the population size. So, larger population means larger sample sizes. So, para makuha natin ang ating sample size, meron tayong mga sampling methods o yung mga sampling techniques. Okay? So, nasa later slides yun, doon na natin pag-usapan. So, when we do our respondents, example, BSN level 4. Kukuha tayo ng 40. Dito na yan siya sa sample size. So, itong 40 na ito, meron tayong inclusion at saka ang exclusion criteria. So, si inclusion criteria, ito yung mga specific characteristics ng respondents na they possess para ma-include sa study. Kumbaga, kung na-check nila ang checklist sa inclusion criteria, pasok sila sa ating isa-sample size. Kung meron kahit isa man lang dyan ang hindi pasok, hindi sila pwede. Okay? Therefore, dyan si exclusion criteria. Si exclusion criteria kasi, sasabihin niya sa'yo, sino mga hindi kasama. Hindi included sa studies. So, bakit? Kasi this helps you to narrow the focus of the research and prevent skewed data. Okay? Ayan. So, yon lang po.